Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a great attendance here. My name is Andy Machuda. I'm the CEO of Sophion. Thanks for joining us. Today's webinar topic is Road Mapping the Future from the Outside In. This is the first of a series of online and face-to-face events that are entitled Breakthrough, Identify and Solve Future Problems End Users Care About. This webinar introduces proven strategic road mapping techniques that help strategic thinkers envision breakthrough innovation opportunities through the lens of market insights and user experiences. Our presenters today are Irene Petrick and Russ Martinelli from Transcape Innovation Group. Irene's a former Penn State University professor and internationally recognized expert in strategic road mapping. Russ has over 20 years of experience in strategy development, portfolio management, new product development, program management, and engineering in the high-tech, aerospace and defense, medical, and nonprofit industries. I'm excited to have our experts with us today, and with that, I'll turn the session over to you.
Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us. I'm Irene Petrick. I'll be going through the first part of these slides, and then I'll turn it over to Russ, who will go through a second set of these slides. So what I want to talk about is road mapping the future from the outside in. And this sounds like an obvious topic, and yet in our experience, consulting with companies over the last 20 years, what we find is that looking at the company from the outside in is something that very few companies do well and that many companies struggle with. So we'd like to take today and try and give you an insight into why this is important and how we approach it from a Transcape Innovation Group. So we've known that looking at the outside world was an important thing to do, but in 2010, George Day and Christine Moorman published a book that went on to win many awards in marketing. And their argument basically was that companies had spent so much time focusing on internally driven strategies, things like shareholder value, core competence, Six Sigma, right sizing, lean manufacturing. All of these things were really good strategies that added to either the bottom line or the top line, but most of them focused companies on an internal bent. They looked at their operations, they looked at their portfolio, they looked at their technologies, and they said, how can we maximize the value in each of these? Because of that, they began viewing the world from the inside out. And Day and Moorman went on to say this type of thinking distracts companies from really the core purpose of their business, which is creating value for customers. So one of the things we've recognized over the last, particularly in the last decade, is that companies really struggle with putting aside all of their internal challenges and successes and focusing on the external world where they're really trying to add benefit and create value. In that same year, in 2010, Forbes said, with all the recent changes in the market, it's more important than ever to know and understand your customers. When revenues are down, and this was right after the financial collapse, when revenues are down, it is natural to focus on short-term strategies that eliminate costs. Yet an internal focus can debilitate your business down the line. What they were basically saying is that while I take an internal cost-cutting focus, I lose sight of those things that could add value in the market because I'm really not looking ahead in a way that says where is the market going and what does the market need. So Forbes went on to say, instead, enterprises should focus on external trends, customer behaviors, and new technologies that are changing the industry landscape going forward. And that sounds like a great idea. More recently, in 2014, Inc. even stressed this point with its entrepreneurs, saying the two most important questions for entrepreneurs, and Russ and I would say for every business looking to take care of their business to the next level, is how can we play our current hand of cards better, and how is the world changing around us and why? Most companies spend most of their time on that first question. Asking how is the world changing around us and why is a question that most companies do not systematically ask. Inc. went on to say, both questions are essential for identifying a successful business strategy, and eventually they both need to be integrated. And Russ and I would agree with that. But here's the one where we really stress and agree with Inc. magazine. Where you start may greatly influence where you end up. If you have an inside-out view of the world, you are creating products and solutions that are looking for a problem to solve. You are looking for a market to address, and what you haven't done is really look outside your company, look into your market space, not just your customers, but into your customers' end users, for those of you who are doing B2B kind of activities. We believe that it's essential to understand what the end user values and what the end user needs, and we think that if you start there, you can be much more proactive in the way in which you create solutions. So this whole session is really about how do you think about the external world, how do you systematically organize how you address that external world, and how do you incorporate learnings about the trends in that external world into additional activities.